Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the fascinating, actually, scratch that, let's call it what it is, the wildly frustrating and confusing world of childhood behaviors. We're going to unpack the neuroscience behind all of it, using some incredibly practical, evidence-based strategies straight out of the book, The Whole Brain Child, by Dr. Daniel Siegel and Dr. Tina Payne-Bryson, plus a few key insights from clinical practitioners. Let's get right into it. Okay, be honest with me for a second. Have you ever felt literally held hostage by a toddler's tantrum? Or maybe you've just stood there feeling completely helpless, entirely exhausted during a massive public meltdown or a bizarre bout of defiance. Yeah, if you're nodding your head right now, you are so not alone. We have absolutely all been there, and man, it can feel like pure chaos. And that brings us to a major crossroads as caregivers. In those chaotic moments, our first instinct is just survival, just getting through the meltdown by any means necessary so we can move on with our day. But what if we shifted that mindset from survive to thrive? What if we actually use that exact same meltdown as a golden opportunity to help build a better, more resilient brain for our kid? To do that, here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with moving from surviving to thriving, look at the left brain versus right brain, and explore the upstairs and downstairs brain. After that, we'll get into integrating memories and wrap up with mindsight and connection. All right, section 1, surviving to thriving. This is really the core of what we call integration. Moving right along to section 2, left brain versus right brain, also known as horizontal integration. So at its core, integration simply means getting the separate, totally distinct parts of the brain to work together as one coordinated, healthy whole. It's kind of like a choir. You need all the different voices singing in harmony, not just screaming over each other, right? And we start by looking at how the mind is divided horizontally. We have these two very different hemispheres. The left brain, it loves logic. It loves lists, sequences, language. It desperately wants order. But the right brain is purely emotional. It cares about nonverbal cues, personal memories, and big, big feelings. So when a child is really upset, they're basically getting completely flooded by that right brain. To see what this actually looks like in real life, listen to this little phrase, "Iya woo woo." This is from a really compelling story in the source material about a 2-year-old boy named Marco. See, Marco was in a car crash where his babysitter, Sophia, actually had an epileptic seizure while she was driving. Now, he was physically totally fine, but he was obviously terrified. Later on, he just kept repeating "Iya woo woo" to his mom. Iya meant Sophia, and woo woo was the ambulance siren. His right brain was completely flooded with this raw emotional memory and the intense fear of his beloved babysitter being taken away. So what did his mom do? Well, she didn't just distract him with a cookie to survive the moment. First, she used a tool called Connect and Redirect. She connected with him emotionally, right brain to right brain, just offering pure comfort and safety. And then she used Name It to Tame It. She helped Marco retell the story of the crash and the ambulance over and over again. And by doing that, she engaged his logical left brain to help make sense of that terrifying right brain emotion. It brought him right back to a healthy, integrated balance. Next up, section 3, the upstairs and downstairs brain, or vertical integration. So imagine a child's developing brain is like a 2-story house. The downstairs brain, which handles primitive survival instincts like fight, flight, or freeze, that is fully built at birth. It's ready to go from day one. But the upstairs brain, that's the sophisticated part that handles thinking, planning, and emotional regulation. And that upstairs is literally under construction until a person is in their mid-20s. So when your kid is completely losing it, they aren't just giving you a hard time. Their upstairs brain is simply offline. Which brings us to this incredibly important concept, the amygdala hijack. This is a sudden, totally primal reaction where the feeling downstairs brain completely takes over. It just blocks all access to the thinking upstairs brain. This is the biological reason why trying to logically reason with a screaming toddler is never, ever going to work. The baby gate to the upstairs brain is firmly closed. And here's a super practical example of this hijack in action. Check out this number, 17%. Clinical insights show us that 17% of kids experience persistent toilet fears. Think about that. That's nearly 1 in 5 kids whose downstairs brain is throwing a massive primal survival cascade over simply using the bathroom. But before we try to step in and fix it, we have to decode what's actually happening. Is this a true phobia, meaning it's anxiety-driven, comes with genuine physical panic, and originates down there in the downstairs brain? Or is it refusal, which is just a behavioral autonomy battle, the classic you can't make me phase, which comes from the upstairs brain? It's absolutely crucial to know the difference, because you cannot punish a downstairs brain panic. Doing that will literally only make the fear worse. If it really is a genuine downstairs brain fear, maybe they got spooked by a terrifyingly loud automatic flush, or they magically believe there's a monster in the pipes, we use what's called a graduated exposure fear ladder. You absolutely do not force them. You take micro steps. Step 1, just have them sit on the toilet, fully clothed, and read a fun book. That's it. Once they're completely bored by that, move to step 2, sit with pants down. You're basically just slowly, gently bypassing that amygdala and building brand new safety memories in their brain. Another incredible strategy for getting those downstairs and upstairs brains working together is move it or lose it. Physical movement directly affects brain chemistry. It actually removes mental blockages. Our sources share this fantastic anecdote of a super anxious, lethargic teenager. When his parents asked if he was okay, he wasn't even aware of how physically tense he was. But because his family practiced move it or lose it, he realized he needed to go lift weights. Just an hour of heavy lifting completely settled his downstairs brain, and he came back totally regulated and ready to engage his upstairs brain to actually talk about his anxiety. It's a real game changer. To make sure you don't lose track of all this, the authors created this brilliant refrigerator sheet. It's a literal cheat sheet. You just print it out, stick it on your fridge, and it reminds you that these big neuroscience concepts aren't just fancy academic theories. They're meant to be handy everyday tools to help you integrate the left and right and the upstairs and downstairs brains. All right, moving into section 4, integrating hidden memories, making the implicit explicit. The whole goal here is taking implicit memories and making them explicit. And one of my absolute favorite tools for this is giving a child the remote of the mind. Basically, if they've had a painful experience, you let them narrate it, but you tell them they have an internal remote control. They can pause, rewind, or fast forward right through the scary parts of the story. This gives them total control so they can safely process what happened at their own pace without getting thrown right back into another amygdala hijack. And finally, section 5, mind sight and connection, focusing on the self and others. To really build up this self-awareness, this mind sight, we use what's called the SIFT technique. We basically teach kids to pay close attention to their internal sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. We explain to them that emotions are kind of just like temporary weather patterns, clouds rolling by. If a child feels angry, we teach them they aren't an angry person. It's just an angry cloud passing through their mind right now. And that simple shift, it totally stops them from being permanently defined by their big feelings. And here is the second half of that awesome refrigeration sheet, which really focuses on self and other. It's a great reminder that humans are basically wired for we. We can actually capitalize on the brain's built-in capacity for social interaction, not by avoiding conflict, but by using conflict as a tool to teach our kids how to see another person's perspective. At the end of the day, it is all about connection. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with a thought to chew on. How are you going to turn your next parenting challenge from a threat into a triumph? The very next time a tantrum hits or a fear totally paralyzes your child, I want you to remember this. They aren't giving you a hard time. They are having a hard time. How will you use these tools of integration, empathy, and brain science to step in, connect, and help them thrive? Thanks so much for learning along with me today, and hey, keep building those beautiful brains.